Three, two, one. Hello, welcome to Geek-Cetera. I am Chase. I'm joined by Ezra and Joa. And tonight we are going to talk about the season finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Series finale, technically, of Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, Ezra, I want to start us off with you. Should this have been a movie?
Definitely. 100%. This should have been a movie. Um, and I'm sure I'll
I
have.
didn't want to agree with you every single week until the resolution was just kind of meh at the end of the show.
And and I think it just didn't impact as well because they space out all these things, like all these building blocks that were leading up to this final conclusion.
Yeah.
It seemed like it fell flat just because all those building blocks set up.
Yeah,
We've already forgot about.
I feel
I
like
don't know.
episode 5 left with like far too many loose ends that they kind of had to like scramble to put together because they knew that the series was ending and they weren't going to have another episode or another season. And I feel like if it was a movie, there was probably a lot of like the garbage storylines that they would have cut out that they didn't really need to have. So I tried so hard to not agree with you throughout the entire show, but this should have been a movie.
I'm so glad. I'm so
Yeah,
glad
I
you
hate you.
agree.
I I find it's funny, like with a lot of shows, I have this issue where I forget plot points. I forget plot points in movies, for crying out loud. But
That's
it's
bad.
much easier to keep things like the small details in mind when it is the movie, when it is all like one straight shot through. Like sometimes the small details do fall through the cracks,
Hmm.
but a lot of the time it's easier, I know for me specifically, to hold on to like the build up and the final payoff at the end. Like, oh, I get that now, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like with this series it would have benefited so much more if it was all put together
So for
as a
me,
movie.
I thought this could have made a really cool TV show, but the way I would have done it is I would have kind of spread out this story across, 2 or 3 seasons, kind of like they did with Agents of Shield. Is you have the these story arcs that last across the season, and each episode kind of builds a little bit on the story, but it doesn't tie that in because they have some other mission or something else they're doing. So I feel like your first season could have been, you know, Bucky, not Bucky, Sam rather, and him being the Falcon and going on these kind of missions, and him kind of coming to the decision that he's not going to be Cap and handing it in, and then your season 1 cliffhanger ends on John Walker standing up there with a shield, and you're just like, oh, I'm mad. And then season 2, you can spend more time developing your characters, and you can develop John Walker, and that way, when he goes insane, your season 2 cliffhanger ends on him with that, the image of the bloody shield. But they kind of, it was too short to be a show and too long to be a movie.
It felt
Yeah.
it felt like a rushed show.
It's
Like all
that's
the points slid into each other.
Yeah.
that's literally the mini-series syndrome, like right
Mhm.
there. I mean, and I'm coining that term. Like they always feel way too long to be a movie, but also way too short to be an actual television show.
Yeah.
There's so many miniseries like that I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but they're
The
like that.
only time that I have, like, a miniseries has been the correct thing to do is all the historical nonfiction miniseries.
Mm.
Like, there was a Thomas Jefferson one. Like, sure, that makes sense to be like a 5-episode miniseries. Revolutionary War, yep, totally tracks. But when you're doing a show and you're building a new story that people don't know, you don't have the set expectations that you do when you're covering history.
Yeah.
So they spent too much time on some things that they didn't need to and not enough times on things that they should have.
And that's
Like,
a good point, actually.
Well,
Like, if you're watching a history show and there's some sort of plot point that gets skipped, you can look it up if you care that much. You
mhm.
can't really do that with a new story.
Yeah. But I was just thinking, like, I think Ezra, were you the one who mentioned this to me? So
I
in
don't
the last episode, the John Walker turnaround was like snap of a finger.
know.
Like we had
Yeah,
no character building, and then all of a sudden he goes from being this like murder hobo to being oh well, I should probably be a good Captain America. I feel like if this had been a movie, we wouldn't have really needed that. Or if it had been a show, we could have had some development, and you could have kind of seen his redemption arc rather than a redemption spike. Like, I don't know.
yeah. That's I like the way you put that. It's just crazy to me, okay? Because like there was nothing indicating that he was going to have this redemption. So it's not an arc because in a redemption arc,
It
there are things
builds
that
like
yeah, like that, not like this.
it do a
like that.
curve.
Yeah, do a curve because there's things along the way that like, oh yeah, I can see how this is going to pay off. I can see where this is leading. But literally, do you like what was he there to do?
He was there to kill Carly.
He was there to kill Carly. So he didn't go from like a murderer, like he went from a murderer to a hero, but there was nothing in between. It was I'm gonna kill Carly, and then all of a sudden, oh no, this bus with a bunch of people is gonna fall and they're gonna die. I'm just gonna save. Like there was like I'm gonna forget killing Carly.
Would they have really died? Because some people are probably gonna end up with like broken bones, but
They probably would have been fine.
they would have
Unless
been
the truck
hurt,
blew
but
up.
they're probably not all. Maybe one or two of them dies, but
Yeah, I don't.
One or two is kind of worse than
Well,
None.
none.
It's
I know.
true. But
Would they have died? I mean, it's a heavily. Were they wearing seatbelts?
no, because they were in the back.
I I do want to say real quick though, you're saying that if he had decided, you're saying that he should have decided to go and kill Carly and ignore
No,
the bus.
absolutely not. I believe that he should
No.
he should have did what he did, but we didn't have the build up to it that we would have had over the course of a show.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I said, redemption
I-
spike. He went from 0 to 100 like real quick.
Exactly.
And then back to 0.
Back to
Did you
50.
go Did you go? What happened?
When
Madam
well, when
Hydra.
you say 0 to 100, my
well,
my initial
But the thing
my
is,
initial
though.
thought-
Yeah. All right. We'll get into that.
yeah, my initial thought is like he went from 0 to 100, killing when his friend Battlestar died.
He didn't go 0 to 100 when battle started because he was probably already at like
Oh.
70. He was not in a good state already. He was
There were
already mad,
so
and he was
that's
already
a good example of like a character arc from when he went from a good person to a
Mhm.
bad person. We could see the buildup, like when that guy spit in his face and he like completely went off on him. Like there were things along the way you were like, okay, maybe he's not a good Captain America, and then we see him and we're like, oh yeah, he's definitely not a guy. Like there so that was effective because obviously going into it they want us to think because there's got to be some sort of like surprise or payoff. They want us to think, oh, he's a good guy, or he's going to try to be a good guy because we see him interviewing with those people and all that stuff. Like and then we see a couple things along the way, and then oh, that makes sense because we saw these things. That never happened for his redemption. There was no redemption arc. Yeah, so I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this.
But yeah,
No
so
worries.
it was really weird though because like when he's on the ground getting beaten up and he has his fake shield and he looks outside like on the inside at his Medal of Honor, I feel like that would have been better at the redemption. He should have been like on the ground getting beat up, seeing this truck fall, see the Medal of Honor, and then realize there what he had to do. Like they had that cut at like the wrong time.
Okay, so literally all this movie needs, I'm 100% convinced that all this movie needs is a re-edit.
Mhm.
Literally, like we need a good editor to go in, find these plot points that are missing, cut them together. Like there's got to be some way to cut like a image of Sam looking at something and then implying that he's looking at the kids playing with the shield.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be some way. Like there's so many little edits like that that I
Mhm.
think could completely redeem it
It's
and
true.
turn
Yeah.
it into a movie. And then we could edit out crap like
The bank loan.
like Sharon Carter freaking calling uh the French guy.
Hmm.
I would love. I
Because
think, did we mention that last week where like it should really be done from the other guys, from Bartok's
no,
perspective?
we,
Like
we had a separate conversation about this.
we had a
I
separate
want to get I want to
oh,
get into that. I want to get into that, but I wanted to just like beat a dead horse again with my whole this should have been a movie thing. And because like I really think I figured I have a way to like express why this feels the way it does. And it's because like a TV show is like more complex than a movie.
Absolutely.
Generally with a TV show, you have a episode arc, an episode
Hmm.
story arc,
And a season story arc.
and a season story arc, or and a series story arc.
Yeah.
Or even like little arcs in, like little arcs within a season. So like for Clone Wars, for an example, like the series arc is like, going from the Battle of Geonosis to like
Yeah, it's the
Order
Clone
66.
Wars.
Yeah. So you're hitting points along the way that fit into that arc, like
you have
uh
different battles, like the Battle of Umbara in one
yeah,
arc.
different.
But then even in
Okay,
between in that
I'm
arc,
not
you
stop,
have
Bert,
like
stop,
different.
stop,
Yeah,
stop.
I get,
I'm
I
saying,
get what you're
I'm
saying.
saying,
Sorry.
I'm trying to add attributes to the series arc. Like, for instance, the clones finding out that they have the inhibitor chip in their head. That directly ties into the end where they all, go after the Jedi and kill them. And then you have like within each episode you have an arc and stuff attributed to that, and in each like story arc you have
Mhm.
stuff building that. But within each of those, you can have stuff that builds onto this, or stuff that builds onto the thing in the episode, or you know. But with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all you have is like things that build upon one story arc, one series arc, and that's why it feels like a movie, because there's not those complexities like what I was trying to look for in episode 4,
3, 2, 1.
the
Lift
truth,
off. Truth
whatever
was
one
last
that
episode.
was.
I thought 5.
So 5,
I
like
think.
I was trying to like assign things to an arc that wasn't there in my mind,
Mhm.
and I was extremely frustrated when I couldn't find a conclusion to that arc, or like
Yeah.
an answer, like what is this building on. It was nothing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where I stand, and I'm gonna stick with that,
Okay.
and I think I'm done talking about it now.
But now you're going to talk about, you said Bartok. What's.
Okay, so Joe, we were having a conversation
Oh yeah.
about Bartok the Leaper and Sharon Carter's conversation on the phone with him. So weird. Like,
Terrible choice.
it from my point of view a terrible writing choice. We were thinking, so why would, because all right, I guess I got to do a little bit of like explaining like why I was thinking about this. And we were having a conversation with our sister. Elias said like before episode 6 that Sharon Carter was going to be the what's it?
Power broker.
The power broker, and she was like completely spot on.
Dead on. Yeah.
But like I thought it was a little cheap because well, maybe I'm just salty that I didn't see it and she did, and she's better at finding these things than I am. But like the second she said it, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I bet they're gonna do that, because that phone conversation to me is so obvious. Like, why did they have to set her up in episode 5 to be a bad guy? It, to me, it just like ruins the whole surprise. Don't you think it'd be a lot better if episode 6 shows up like and she's a bad guy? Like,
Yeah.
And there was only one like bad guy that was hiding behind I suppose behind the camera, because they weren't ever on screen. Like the power broker was the only character that was alluded to throughout the series that was like
Okay,
some
but
big villain that
exactly. So
nobody knows who they
here's
are.
my issue with Power Broker is they
Mhm.
kind of made it up to be something that ends up being nothing. And I'm like, that's what makes a good, like if they did another season, now that has a good story arc. But this is only a one season show, so what's the point of the power broker? Is she gonna be in a movie or something? Like,
Yeah. No, I completely
but
agree.
but I feel like that would be good if you continued this on as a TV show. Like I said, like I've said this a few times throughout the series, they've already said they're going cosmic. They need to have super heroes. Sam is just Sam. He's got vibranium wings and a shield, but he cannot keep up with, those higher power villains. Captain Rogers, Steve, could barely hold off Thanos in a 1v1, and he had the super soldier serum. Like, Sam is not
Yeah.
going to be any help in a fight bigger than Thanos. So, like, why not just kind of cut ties with the Earth Avengers and let them exist in TVs and move next phase of Marvel to the movies with the characters that are going to matter.
Yeah. I will say one thing on that, because honestly, I'm not a huge fan of, like, let's go find something bigger and better. Like, what's the next shark to jump?
Yeah.
Which, like, I liked Infinity War and Endgame a lot. I really like Thanos as a villain, and he's pretty powerful. And I know there's more people in the Marvel comics that are more powerful than him. And that's fine, but, like, I do believe that they're going to come back with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't think it's going to be in the form of a television show. I think they're going to do a Captain America 5 with those characters. And
Yes.
that's fine to me. So what I'm suggesting is, I mean, yes, would I love to see a television series instead? I think the answer is probably yes. I think that would be, I think it could be really this concept could be really cool in an actual TV show format. I think that would be really cool. But if they want to just keep making Captain America movies, like the Winter Soldier and Civil War or the first event, like, I'm completely fine with that. I like the more grounded superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do the big Avengers two-parter, let's fight Galactus movie, great. I'm on board with that. But not everything to me needs to be like, this is going to build up to the next biggest shark we're going to jump.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, is because he's very down to earth, and a lot of
He
the
usually swings from
villains are
buildings.
just
I would not
local
consider that down
neighborhood.
to earth.
What?
I said he's usually swinging from buildings, Joe. That's not very down to earth.
Yeah.
He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, not your friendly galaxy Spider-Man,
To quote Tom Holland's Spider-Man, you can't be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man if there's no neighborhood. So
True.
I think, and Spider-Man's one of the most popular superheroes of all time too. Like, I think more relatable stories are more successful.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Like, I think there is definitely still room for them to do adventures on Earth and not jumping planets and finding Galactus and beating the crap out of him. Like, I think there's still stories to be told with a Spider-Man or with a Captain America or with a Hawkeye, maybe. Like,
yeah, well, we're getting Hawkeye.
Or like West Coast Avengers. Because come on, like, that has to happen on Earth. Like, you're not just gonna form, or the Young Avengers. I don't know what those two are different. Doesn't matter. Young Avengers,
that, like, the West Coast Teen Titans or something.
No, there was West Coast Avengers too. Trust me. There's a lot of Avengers.
They were all surfer dudes. They had long mullets and tans.
Don't worry about it. What I was
Forget
actually
about it, brah.
trying to talk, what I was actually trying to say was Young Avengers, but like, I don't think because they're definitely building up for Young Avengers characters. We've got Cassie Lang, we've got Kate Bishop, we've got the Super Twins. Like, those are all characters that are in the Young Avengers. We know that that's going to be a thing, and I don't think they're going to form the Young Avengers and they're going to go beat Galactus. Like, I think they're going to be tackling earthly threats, at least to start. So I think there's still room to tell stories on Earth.
Yeah,
I feel like if they start going planet hopping, it's going to be less interesting for
I agree.
audiences.
That was
I
honestly.
completely agree.
So I know you guys loved Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't. I wasn't as big a fan of Guardians because I feel like there was just so much going on between the different planets and different aliens and all this different stuff that it was just hard for me to follow. Especially as somebody who came from, I watched Guardians like I wasn't that into superheroes at the time, so I that's kind of my issue with like the going to Galactus and what was the Kyle's one, the Beyonder, like all these things. I don't. It seems a bit much to me. So
It's at some point the stakes get so ridiculously high. It's just like, okay, well, we might as well just lay down and die.
and like we're already at the point where half of the population has died. So who cares if New York gets blown up? Like, eh.
It's
I think
classic power creep.
that I agree with that statement for sure. I was gonna say I think Guardians works really well because it didn't take itself too seriously and it was focused on the comedy. And
It
there's
had
a
the
there's
best
a
soundtrack of any Marvel movie.
Definitely.
there's a trend towards that as well, like with Ragnarok that came
That was
after Guardians of the
hilarious.
Galaxy. It's a hilarious movie,
Well,
and again, there's some planet
and
hopping there,
Taika
but
Waititi is doing Thor: Love and Thunder as well, so that's also going to be
but
an equally as hilarious
it's
movie.
gonna I and that's really like I love those movies. I'm not discrediting them with the thing I'm about to say now, but like they're we're going through like a phase in Marvel right now where everything is like haha and we don't take ourselves seriously and and I think that's like necessary in order to do the planet hopping. I think you need to have
Yeah.
a little bit of like we're just a bunch of dudes in capes and it's really silly, but like
Yeah.
it's going to be entertaining, trust me. So I just
All
became
I
Ryan
can think
George
of
for a
is
second.
all I
You
can think of is
did.
the Hawkeye quote from Age of Ultron when he's like, "The city's flying. I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes
Nothing
any
makes
sense."
sense.
Yeah. And there always has to be a sense of that
Yeah.
in order to maintain any sort of like like movie at all. Like there needs to be a little bit of like this isn't serious. Like this is definitely a comic book movie. But at the same time, like we went from like Iron Man, which was very serious. It had like gritty humor, not like funny, silly slapstick humor. It was like, a different flavor of
It
humor.
definitely had that because they threw Tony Stark into the roof a few times.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what it
Yeah,
like
I know. For the most
it was
part, that wasn't what the movie's focus was on.
right. And it was like a serious movie.
Hmm.
And then like the Captain America movies, even like the first Avengers movie, like they're not funny movies. They have funny parts to them,
Hmm.
but they're not funny movies. They're really serious. And they kind of so there I think there's still room like to tell those serious stories as long as they stay on Earth. If you're gonna go into a different planet, it's automatically like gonna be a silly movie,
Hmm.
which is fine. I think both formats work really well, but I think those are the two different directions. Like if it's on Earth, it's gonna be serious, and if it's not, then we have to not take ourselves too seriously and make it kind of comical, like
And
Ragnarok or Guardians of the Galaxy.
and that's one thing I want to say is like if you do go that route, if you do go planet hopping, and it's kind of what happened to Nintendo after they made the Wii U. Like all of the audience they had with the Wii was the casual gamers that wanted the extra gimmicks, but they all dropped off for the next console because I already have it. Like I'm satisfied with what you've already made. I'm fine. I am making a weird stretch.
You're trying
I'm
way
very
too hard
lost.
to
You
I'm-
lost me as soon as you said Wii U.
But,
you're
like-
trying way too hard to like fit a Nintendo
know.
reference in there.
I know,
Okay.
but I'm a Nintendo geek, so this is when they make new movies that are more planet and galaxy. It's like they're gonna lose the audience that's like that prefers the more down to earth and serious stuff. The only audience they're gonna really retain are people who like that comedy, that style of comedy, and the diehard fans who really love their movies and their characters. If
Yeah.
they do completely cut off the down to earth stories,
they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose
lose-
like the fans of the Batman trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, because those people, they like their they like their serious,
Hmm.
like this makes sense, like this could actually happen, you know, this is realistic to a point. Like I can only
Yeah.
like
Batman is
I,
going to be one of like the most grounded heroes though, because
right.
he doesn't have like Tony Stark is just a rich guy who builds his suit like Batman, but his flies. Batman's doesn't really fly. He has a glider. He has a grappling hook, which yeah, you can do that. And Hacksmith's done that quite a few times now. They just built one
Yep.
for their Mandalorian suit. So he has a super cool car, but the car isn't like beyond tech we have. So you could actually see it happening. He just knows martial arts. He's not like super strong or super fast, and he doesn't have buffed healing properties. But all
He's
the
smart
Marvel
and
characters are kind of
rich.
like that, where it's a bit less reality.
Eh,
So I think that might be why they keep themselves a little bit more serious.
I think a lot of those fans coming from those types of movies, they only have so much suspension of disbelief, I think is the right term, or the term I'm looking for. Like they're only willing to ignore certain things, and the more you like beat up Thanos's with
Hmm.
you know these stones that have been here since the dawn of the galaxy, and they have like infinite power, like the more you do that kind of stuff, the more like the less of these fans are going to watch it, those types of fans. But if you keep, you know, like, all right, a Captain America movie takes place on Earth, and it, you know, it deals with like terrorists, it's like, yeah, that's kind of realistic, I'll watch that. Like I could see that, I could almost see that happening on in real life, like sure. So I definitely feel like they need to go both routes, because
I kind of guess
they
with
need to
Sam too.
maintain both fan
Yeah,
bases.
where Sam doesn't have the super soldier serum. He does
Yeah.
have, you know, tech that doesn't exist in the vibranium wings and a vibranium shield, but and I think they tried to really nail this now that we're actually like cycled back to Falcon Winter Soldier. I feel like they tried to really make this one hit close to home with a lot of the politics. I know that we don't want to get into that at all, but like it felt a lot more grounded in our Earth
In our world.
than
Our society.
Endgame did. And I loved and Infinity War. I loved those two movies, but this one felt like it actually happened kind of thing, or could happen kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. Endgame's getting like almost believable because like of the pandemic. I don't know. But does the pandemic to you not feel like a snap? Like this you know, period of years that like doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't like that,
That's-
but yes.
Anyway.
That is surprisingly accurate.
Anyway, that's just like I'm looking at post Blip people thinking like, yeah, this is what we're gonna turn into, like this hardened like race of individuals who've been through something really crappy, and now they're like all different and changed because of it. Like that's totally gonna happen.
Oh, I'm never going outside without a mask again.
I doubt that, but
Oh, I don't trust people enough
But
anymore.
I feel like unfortunately masks are gonna stick around. I feel like during
I think
cold
they
and
will.
flu season you'll still have them when you
I don't think
yeah.
we're gonna be handshaking people. I don't think
I-
that will come back.
Going
I
to the
think-
classic elbow bump.
Yeah.
No, I think that a lot of stuff like that will come back,
All right.
but it's not gonna be this year. It probably won't be next year. Like
Yeah, it's gonna take a while.
right
to,
now
like,
with the vaccine,
rehabilitate
they're assuming that we're gonna need a shot, like a booster shot, every single year.
every 6 months.
And
Yeah, let's not get into that.
yeah, I just, but still, like, no, you're
No,
definitely. I
yeah.
don't like that you're right.
That analogy, you don't like it, doesn't sit well with you, huh?
No.
Well, I think
Speaking of
it's cool,
sit
man.
well, let's talk about Hydra.
that
That's a
was
clever
good-
transition.
that was a
I'm
great
proud of
segue.
myself.
Oh my
That's a good
goodness.
one. That's a good one.
Let's talk about the end of Falcon Winter Soldier with U.S. Agent.
Mm,
Is he getting his own spin-off? Is that what this is gonna be?
God.
I think they're
That's what it
doing,
felt like to me.
Okay.
I feel like Madam Hydra is going to be the Nick Fury for the Dark Avengers.
Logan's giving us crap for the elbow bump, but um,
Oh, you think they're gonna do a Dark Avengers thing?
Yeah, that's why U.S. Agent was in the first place. Like he was one of the members of the Dark Avengers.
Okay,
I think they're doing
Logan,
a mirror of.
hold up. Let me just like
we're talking about elbow bumps, Jella, and how
we're
hygienic
talking
they are.
about elbow bumps right now for a second.
I was brought
What
that
do you
up.
do? You use your elbows to like wipe your butt? Do
You
you
don't
use
your
your elbows?
hand either. But here's the thing: is you like
Okay,
wash
wait,
your after you use
wait.
toilet paper, you wash your hands. You're not like
I'm not done with the scenarios. Do you use your elbows to pick your nose? Do you cough in? Okay, some people cough into their elbows.
that's
The
how you're
vast
supposed to
majority
cough.
of people do not cough into their elbows.
And I don't think many people can lick their elbows either.
Yeah, no, like you use your hands to eat. You put your hands on your face and your mouth. You shouldn't, but you do. People don't do that with their elbows. So yes, an elbow bump is more hygienic. You don't use your elbow to open doors, touch door handles and other surfaces.
I will say,
You use your hands to touch gross things, and then you transfer those with a handshake. Yes, an elbow bump is more hygienic.
I will say, I worked at a KFC.
What,
I
are
know
you
this
thinking-
for fact.
Are
We
you-
use the elbow bump a lot.
Are you like thinking of the logistics of wiping your butt with your elbow now?
No, this is just hilariously off topic. But
Oh yeah.
here's the thing:
Well, okay,
is you
Logan
probably
didn't
clean
do
your elbows like once a day when you take a shower. You're washing your hands. Well, at least you should be, and hopefully
but-
most people are, or at least hand sanitizing way more often. But you're not
You
like
don't put-
down here
you
like
don't put your elbows up to your face. Like I don't know. It's just
yeah. But you
you
cough. If you're not coughing into your elbow, you're a savage and you shouldn't be alive. But no, but still, I use my elbow to like. Mostly, it's all like push doors. Obviously, you can't like turn a doorknob, but I don't put my hands on as many things as I can avoid it, and I've always done that.
These shoulder bash
but-
push doors.
Yeah, shoulders to push doors, but yeah, still. Breach. Okay, let's go back to. I wanted to hear Dark Avengers talk though,
yeah.
because explain this to somebody who has no idea what they're doing.
So, I don't know much about like comic book lore, but I do know that there was a Dark Avengers, which were just basically a gritty mirror of the regular Avengers. One of the main characters being U.S. Agent, who was the dark analogy for Captain America. Like much more like Black Ops kind of missions, where it's like they're not really well known, they're not talked about. It's very secretive. I feel like what they're doing is they're remaking the Dark Avengers as like a villain organization. I don't know if the Dark Avengers were villains or good guys in the original. I don't know much about the comics.
Yeah,
Everything I know about the comics is from what I look up.
we needed Tommy.
Yeah, we really need Tommy here. But I feel like Madam Hydra, or the Val, that was Madam Hydra. I feel like she's becoming the analogy for the Dark Avengers version of Nick Fury. She is pulling together this team of super people, and it's going to turn into the Dark Avengers. I don't know. That's my idea.
It's an interesting idea.
That could be.
I was just happy because I feel like when we first talking about this show, I was like the world needs another Hydra. So
I thought the next Hydra would be like
Hydra.
AIM.
Yeah, they
They haven't had AIM yet.
Now, really noob question here. Is AIM associated with Hydra? Aren't they like a division of Hydra?
I thought like AIM was to Hydra what Sword was to Shield.
That's kind of what I thought. I thought Sword and Shield were directly affiliated with each other.
I feel like they're
Privately
affiliated,
funded think
but
tank
not.
organized of a group of brilliant scientists whose sole dedication is to acquire and develop power through technological means.
Yeah, we were not prepared for this topic.
No, we were not.
AIM was
I-
organized.
it's-
AIM was organized during World War II as the scientific research division of the subversive military organization Hydra.
So wasn't Hydra already the research division for the Nazis? So they had their own research division.
apparently in the
So we have
comics.
like Russian nesting dolls of.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, this is the thing. So like, what I'm thinking, the way I'm thinking the direction I think they're gonna go with it is like, AIM is gonna be like pretty much all scientists, but they are technically part of Hydra. Like they're the science division of the new Hydra, which also consists of like spies and military and people with guns. Because I mean, if you think about what Hydra is mostly now, because like
Yeah.
in World War II, Hydra was a science division, or they were a division that was tasked with like finding or making weapons
Yep.
that had special powers. But they had soldiers, but like most of the members of Hydra were scientists or people doing research. But I think basically in modern Hydra,
Yeah, by the time of
most
Winter
of them,
Soldier.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, by the time of Winter Soldier, it was mostly like operatives. They weren't really doing their own science. They were using shield science and kind of stealing that intel. So now it would make sense for them to have their own science division. Hydra is kind of like the brand name for their operatives, and then AIM is their AIM is their Hydra to what Hydra was to Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it.
So when Hydra falls, the next AIM is going to start doing the operatives, and we're going to have to get down this long line of messy nesting dolls.
What's the aim for AIM?
Exactly. That's where we're going to have to find out.
One thing I did find out on this wiki page here, apparently Sharon Carter at one point tried to infiltrate AIM for I guess for shields, but I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. We're off topic.
Yeah. Joe, was it you who said that we should have another Agent Carter show?
I think I said my mom was the one who said it actually.
Oh, was it?
Mostly as a joke, but you know, I continue the trend mostly as a joke. I think she's serious. She wants to see like a bad Agent Carter,
a power broker.
Yeah. I wanna ask you guys. Since we're so off topic, to bring us back on, for this entire series, who was your favorite character
Bucky.
and why?
Bucky, because Sebastian Stan. No further questions, please. No. I liked the character development they did with Bucky. I thought they did a great job with Sam near the end of the show, but just I felt like Bucky was more consistently developed throughout the show, and he had a more compelling story arc to me. And I still think that there's a lot that they can do with the Winter Soldier character, even though it feels like they're kind of trying to bring him towards retirement. But I'd have a hard time seeing Bucky sit by and not help. I don't know.
I think Bucky at this current moment is, well, I don't know. My favorite character in Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is probably Hawkeye. But Bucky's probably my second favorite character in the entire cinematic universe, I think. And mostly from this show, to be honest. Like, they did so much to develop his character in the show. But I'm going to try not to pick him as my favorite for the show, because I don't want to just tag on to Chase's. But basically, I mean, I really like your answer. That's that I
The Sebastian Stan answer, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Sebastian Stan. He's pretty awesome, and I also think they did a great job developing Bucky's character in this show. They didn't do such a good job with Sam. They did a really good job toward the end, but like at the beginning, not so much. I don't know. So I really do like Sam's character now at the end too, and I think they did a good job of developing him. But I really like
Isaiah Bradley.
Nope.
Torres.
Nope.
Torres is great though.
I do like Torres. I kind of wish that they had. Sorry to stop Ezra, but I wish they had made Torres the new Falcon. That's my final
fun
word.
fact.
No, let Ezra
apparently,
go. We can worry about Torres
sorry.
later.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that after then.
He's a guy. He's got an accent. He's from another country.
Zemo?
Zemo.
Oh, Zemo was good.
I
I
was
love
gonna
Zemo.
say that, honestly.
Zemo was good. I liked Zemo.
Zemo is such a fun character to watch on the screen. Like, he's so cunning, and
Yeah.
I love how I don't think they ever really gave him much action. Like,
No,
he,
I
I mean,
he had a little bit, but like
he definitely
most
killed a
of
dude.
what he was on, yeah, true. Most of what he was on screen,
am I
though,
am I gonna
was his
am I gonna
mind.
say why I like him, or are you
Yes.
gonna just okay? So
Sorry.
I I liked watching him because they made us root for him. Like he was one of the good guys for a while, but he was always like he always had an agenda of his own that we saw throughout as well. And I don't know, I love his interaction with the little girl where he was like trying to get information from her, but he was like, but don't tell them because they're bad.
Yep.
I don't know, I love that he's so like methodical and like calculating,
So-
and it's fun to watch that kind of character.
Can I go into my one issue with the Zemo story?
Okay, go ahead.
My one issue with the Zemo story is that he was being held in a SHIELD or U.S. prison that they broke him out of.
Mm.
Bucky turns him over to the Dora Milaje for Wakanda. But then, at the end of the show, he's on the Raft, which is a former SHIELD prison. So why did the Dora Milaje just kind of give him back to the U.S. government? Because that's where Sam and Ant-Man and Hawkeye were all held at the end of Civil War, was on the Raft.
Oh, it was 100%.
So why?
Well-
I thought Wakanda wanted him for justice for killing T'Chaka.
Yeah, no, so that doesn't make any sense. You're right. It's definitely like I was thinking like, oh, is it actually a SHIELD prison, and that's why? No, it's definitely a U.S.
U.S. prison, yeah.
because SHIELD had fallen
SHIELD
at
had fallen,
the
yeah.
point that we saw it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like that doesn't make any sense. Like
Right, so
maybe
I'm not completely
Is
off
the
base
Raft-
then.
no, you're not. Okay. I can see one potential answer for it now that I'm thinking about
Wakanda
it.
bought that.
No. So maybe it's not a US prison,
Mhm.
but it's a UN prison.
Oh.
Because we know Wakanda's part of the UN, right? So maybe
So,
you can like rent out like a cell.
okay, but
And
we're going back to my issue with why is he there? Because at the end of Civil War, T'Challa is the one that brings him in. He stops him from killing himself and brings him in. So then,
and then he's in a US prison.
He's put in a prison. Bucky helps him escape. The Dora Milaje come and find Bucky and say, hey, no, we want him for justice for killing King T'Chaka. And now he's back in a UN prison? Like, either T'Challa should have just brought him to Wakanda in the first place, or why are the Dora Milaje even after him? I feel like the only purpose that they really served in the show was that one cool fight scene where they disabled Bucky's arm, and to get Sam his wings.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like the disconnect with Zemo, I just thought was a little strange. But I still thought Zemo was a hilarious character, very well done. But
Absolutely. Did they ever have his like mask? Because his mask is in the poster. We have that on
yeah,
the.
when he
like-
killed the dude.
I completely missed that scene. I
Didn't
think.
make any sense. Might I add?
The mask,
Just the
yeah,
mask
it made no
thing.
sense at all.
It's
but
complete fan service. It's like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it on, and that way I can look like I'm in a comic book.
Mhm.
Because you guys like comic books, right?
Mhm. Yeah. That's about it.
I'll,
Yeah.
yeah. Since you both chose different characters, I do again. I think my favorite character specifically was late season Sam.
Yeah.
Like
That's fair.
early in the season, he wasn't all that compelling, but later in the season, he had a lot more going for him with the story development. They focused like they had weird focus. Like they didn't. It's hard to explain. They didn't really split the focus between the characters all too well. I think the beginning of the season they focused heavily into Bucky, and then the end of the season they focused heavily into Sam. Like,
I wouldn't say it was heavy into Bucky. I think Bucky's was even throughout the entire thing, because even in that last episode is when we got
it's
the resolution with old Asian man. It was
that's
just that
true.
Sam. I think proportionately, it felt heavy towards Bucky in the beginning, even though it was the same as amount we got in
That's
Bucky
what
at the
I'm
end. But
saying.
yeah,
I don't know. I might
That's what I'm
have
saying.
to.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm saying like they really, while they did have like the same amount of focus on the two characters, the quality of the focus and the real significance of that focus was weighted differently depending on the half of the season. Like, Sam was more interesting and more compelling at the end of the season because he had more interesting stuff going on towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Like, what was Bucky doing at the end of the season?
Well,
Like,
okay.
he wasn't becoming Captain America at the end of the season.
So I want to just play devil's advocate for a second here, and I know you guys are gonna hate this, but like, they tried.
They did.
With the boat thing. The
They
boat
did,
thing
yeah.
had a purpose. It
His
was
whole hometown did.
so, and okay, this is another reason why it should have been a movie, because in a movie, we're not going to sit there in the first act and be like, man, that boat thing really dumb. And then because we would have gotten a payoff instantly, like, okay, that's why they're going to the bay. We have to explain the thing. Yeah, that makes sense. But like, because it's like, this episode is about Bucky, and you know, he's going through a tough time right now because he's got trauma. And it's about Sam. He can't get a loan at the bank.
Yeah.
Like, and we have a whole week to sit there and think like, oh man, that thing about that, the Sam storyline was so weak and just was dumb, like just super dumb and unnecessary.
It's like they did add like the little hints about like, oh, he is working on the boat, of course, with this Sloan. It's like, but there wasn't really any good reason to care about it. Like, well, aside from like, I like this guy as a character, and this character's family seems to really care about it, but
no, the
boat.
The boat thing does have a payoff, because the boat is what brought the town together to face an obstacle,
and that brought Bucky and Sam together too.
It brought Bucky and Sam together, but it also was proof that like, we are like one world, one people. Like, you know, people are, you know, actively do help each other, not just during the blip. It was like it was there for a reason, and it did have to go. It did tie in directly to the overall theme of the series, so it had a purpose. But season, you know, episode 1, it seems like it really didn't.
Yeah, it was a lot of build up and not a lot of real payoff in the first episode. It was like,
and it would have been fine if it was a movie.
I think episode 1, unless it was a movie, could have been cut, and you would kind of be able to get like a majority of that episode at the very least could have been cut, and you would have gotten the same overall story. Like,
we at least didn't need to fight 9 helicopters.
Yeah, like, come on, how many helicopters do you guys have?
Well,
the 10th one had to stay behind. They ran out of gas.
Such a stupid fight scene.
I think the last thing that we should probably touch on is a message to the haters. Wyatt Russell did an amazing job this show. He was playing a terrible character, and I don't think anybody ever has to like John Walker. I didn't from the beginning, but
no,
he's not.
I feel bad for Wyatt Russell because he's been getting so much hate, and I'm like, he did a good job. He acted the character well. The character is completely unstable, and it's hard to act like that.
He plays that character very unstable.
He does play it very well. So I thought Wyatt Russell did a good job, and I feel like people need to stop hating on him.
Absolutely. Yeah, he did a good job with his role.
I just wanted to mention the Sharon Carter thing, because we didn't really finish talking about that.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yep.
So I want Joe to tell his idea too. But basically I was saying that scene was so stupid and unnecessary because it would have been a better payoff if...
Oh, we're back to the bar talk?
Yeah, the bar talk thing.
On the phone with Bartok.
If she hadn't have had that phone conversation, it would have been a much more satisfying surprise, like, you're a bad guy. But just like the whole way that scene was shot, and what she was saying and how she was saying it just automatically made us think, oh, she's a bad guy, even if we didn't know necessarily that she was the power broker. So I guess that was the surprise part of it. But it would have been so much more like more satisfying if they were like, if they just came out like, oh, she's a bad guy and you didn't know about it. And so my one justification for that scene would be, well, they needed a way to set up that Bartok the Leaper was going to be there, because he really had no right being there. He was, so they had to have a reason for him to show up and be a spy for Sharon. And Joa, what was your idea?
So my idea was the same phone conversation, but filmed from Bartok's perspective. Instead of showing Sharon on the phone talking, we see him sitting down and Sharon on the phone talking to a garbled and mutilated voice, inaudible, like on the other end of the phone. So you and maybe he name drops Power Broker, so we know like, hey, the Power Broker has a stake in what's going on here. But this also sets up Bartok as a big character for the next episode.
Yeah.
But at the same time, doesn't ruin the surprise of who the Power Broker is, because there is no hint that Sharon has other motivations.
Yeah. I like that.
I think that would have been such a better scene.
Yeah, I feel like Ezra's right. We just need a recut of this as a movie.
Yep. It could be so much better. Part of me, I wonder the legalities of this. Like, how do I just download this entire thing and recut it myself, make a fan edit? Like, can that be a thing? Because I would love to do that.
You just have to call up that actor and say, hey, can I have you create the scene at home?
Oh my god, could you imagine?
Yes, that'd be awesome.
See if you can find him on Fiverr or something.
Or like a lookalike on Fiverr, just as like a placeholder scene. That way you get the idea.
Exactly.
Oh man, that'd be great.
That'd be hilarious.
I do that one thing.
It'd be like the Justice League Snyder cut, but like the Falcon Winter Soldier Ezra cut.
Ezra cut. Oh jeez.
Nice. That character we like. Torres.
Yeah.
So you guys said you would have loved it if he had taken the wings and become the next Falcon.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Yeah, I think you said that he does that. Yeah.
He is the next Falcon.
Yeah.
They're setting it up.
I feel like they just could have done, like, he could have had a cameo or a part in that fight.
I think I would have liked to see like that end scene where you see Sam as Captain America making that big inspiring speech. I think I would have loved to see him with like the wings and some tools, on his workbench. Like that would have been awesome. That would have been just like, yes.
Oh yeah, like a cut to like him watching it live.
They did that.
Instead of just like leaning over the table watching it like this, have him at a workshop.
Like, have him working on
that. Would have been better.
Ezra, add it to the cut.
It's going in the cut. All right, so let's just wrap up real quick. Like, what do we want to see from going forward
from Captain America 5?
Do we want to see Sharon as the main bad guy? Do we want to see Madam Hydra and US Agent as the bad guy? Do we want to see a Sharon show instead? Like what's
so what I want is I don't know how in line or how they would even make this like work, but I kind of want Madam Hydra and US Agent to be working, like, going after the same people that Cap and Bucky end up going after, but they're going after them for like different reasons. So they kind of always have like these awkward run-ins, and they're just like, "What are you doing here? Oh, you're up to no good. But we're not gonna fight you because we need this person in prison." And they're like, "Yes, we also need this person eliminated." And they're like, "No, prison." And they're like, "Yes, dead." I don't know. I just feel like that'd be a very interesting comic. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're trying to. Madam Hydra's trying to recruit the Power Broker, and Sam and Bucky think that, US Agent and Madam Hydra are trying to like kill her or take her captive, and so they're like defending her, completely unaware of who she is and what she's doing. I don't know.
I'll say my one want for the the Captain America 5 movie, people need to keep calling him Captain Falcon as a joke. And if they do that, he needs to say at some point while punching someone in the face, Falcon Punch.
I still think that the funniest line would be him saying, completely fourth wall break, we don't own that property yet.
Yeah, that would be.
Show me moves.
What do you
I
want
want
to
to.
see? Yeah.
I want to see. I want to see Bucky in it.
I
Like,
feel like these two are kind of linked now.
I feel like they have to be. You could just let Bucky retire,
They won't.
but
It's
I don't think they will.
no.
They're
I'd love
fun
to see
duo
it.
to watch.
I mean,
I'll give
Sebastian
this.
Stan has already said he would do it. He would do the Captain America 5.
Sebastian Stan has also said that he would be Luke Skywalker if Mark Hamill asked. So
Thinking Sebastian Stan, he's like,
Something Mark Hamill asked.
he is as big a fan as we are. Like,
Yeah.
he would just love to do these things. Like,
Mhm.
that's why he's perfect.
Yeah.
He's a great
Yeah.
actor. Anyway,
We don't deserve him.
He's like a dog. We don't deserve dogs. All right. Anybody else have anything that they want to add?
I think that's it for me.
No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for watching this. Make sure to leave a like and comment. Let us know what you thought of Falcon and Winter Soldier as a TV series, or what you expect from the next Captain America movie. We will be on hiatus next week, so there will not be a live stream. But we'll probably, most likely, possibly be picking this up on the Monday after that at 7 o'clock. So be sure to subscribe so that way you don't miss any of our content. And until
Hopefully, it'll be something new and interesting, and not
Yeah.
coverage of a
not
TV
coverage
show.
of, not coverage of Bad Batch, which is starting May 4th. But
Yeah, we're not doing that.
we'll probably talk about that at the end of the show, but we're not going to be doing a weekly breakdown like we did for WandaVision and for this. So, anyways, until next time, maybe a baguette, a few French fries.
I didn't think of one.
Joe, I thought you were going to
All
go. Does this
Show
make
me
you
the
Captain
moves.
Falcon? I literally chose a different one so that way you could have that one.